Welcome to the Ogden Amateur Radio Club. I guess this is our first meeting in quite a few months. It's been filled with our summer activities. I really don't have any idea what I'm doing, so we have there's a list of announcements and stuff here that we have that you might be interested in. If you know what JOTA is, Jamboree on the Air, it's a scouting activity, and that's coming up, looks like that one's already cut. Nope, October 19th and 20th. So that's coming up real quick.
It's today.
Is that today?
Today.
All right, never mind. I've been exceedingly busy the past couple of weeks and ended up taking a day off yesterday, and now I have no idea what today is. You're lucky I'm even here. The Davis Cup, it's a band competition, I believe, is coming up. It's October 23rd. That's this coming week. You can contact Douglas Ingram, WA7YZN, or you can go to a website and register to help out. I've actually registered for this. I'll be there to help out. It sounds like a lot of fun. The website is bit.ly, bit.ly/DHS, Davis High School, DHS Cup 18. And that'll get you there. You can register, or you can get hold of Douglas Ingram. His number is 801-432-0384. I don't know how many spots they have left, but I'm sure they could always use an extra ham radio operator if you want to go. The Utah Ham Fest is being planned for next year, the 8th, 9th, and 10th of August, and they're going to have it right up here at the Weber State Union Shepherd Building, or Shepherd Union Building, whatever it's called. If you need to know more about that, it's on our website.
When is that?
When? It's August 8th, 9th, and 10th of next year. The Montserrat DXpedition will be going on November 25th and 26th through the 4th of December. They're going to be working 160 through 6 meters. And it sounds like if you need Montserrat for anything on your DX competition, sounds like that might be a way to get it. Next year, they're planning on doing a space station presentation. That'll happen over in West Point. It'll be at Lakeside Elementary. They're not sure of the time yet. I'll keep you updated as it comes on. I think that'll be pretty interesting. I guess they plan on actually making contact with the space station. There's a ham cram coming up. It'll be November 3rd at 7 a.m. The Bountiful Central Steak Center, that's at 650 South, 750 East in Bountiful. So that's an all-day ham cram. If you know people that want to get into ham radio, don't have a whole lot of time to spend a couple of weeks doing it, that's a one-day thing. And then they have a test session right afterwards.
Is there a cost?
For the test, there is. For the session, for the ham cram, there is not. But the test is same, $15 for the test session.
Davis County sponsoring? No, it's churches must be doing it.
I believe it's a church that's doing it, but they're doing just a one-day ham cram. I believe it'll just be technician, but the test session should be open to everybody. There's another test session. It's December 5th at 7 p.m. You can register at hamstudy.org. It's at Clearfield City Hall. And if you know some of the guys over in Davis County, you can get hold of Gary or Hall. Gary is KE7MQF. Hall is KC7RAF. Or you just register at hamstudy.org if you need to go take a test. I hear Ziva took a couple of tests recently. Ziva, sorry.
Yes, I got my extra.
And you got your extra.
I did.
So, anybody else get an upgrade recently, or got a thumb going back there. Who are you pointing at?
You guys.
New guys. Do we have new guys?
Yeah.
Why don't you stand up and tell us about yourself real quick?
I'm me.
That's quick.
My name is Dave here, and I'm an old timer, but I just got my amateur license, technician level. I'm gonna get the extra. But I'm new to this. New to you guys, but I'm not new to two-way FM communications. I hold master's rating with civil electrical communications. I was the squadron and lead communications officer. So I'm not new to two-way FM communications. That's how I come out, take you guys out, see what you're about.
Oh, good. Glad to have you. Okay, there's also the Aries Races workshop that's coming up. You can get hold of Bob Craven, N7GTE. That'll be on November 3rd at 8 o'clock in the morning. I guess they open up at 8 o'clock. There's going to be a little bit of a breakfast or something, and then they start at 9. You need to register by Monday, the 29th of October. You can find that at eventbrite.com. It's a little bit different registration than they've had in the past. Go to eventbrite.com. You can search for Aries Races, and it'll come up. You can register for it there. That'll be at 195 North, 1950 West in Salt Lake City. It's the multi-agency office building, the environmental quality building. I'm not sure. I mean, I know where the address is, but I've never been to that building. Oh yeah, I did have it on here. Okay, our Christmas dinner is scheduled for the third Saturday, which will be the 15th of December. Write that one down. It's always a lot of fun. We're having it at the same place we've had it before. It's over at the Golden Trough on just off of 12th Street and Washington Boulevard.
What was the date again?
That'll be the 15th of December. And with us today we have John McEldowney.
Got it.
And he is going to tell us about QRP from Mount Kilimanjaro. That's a very, very tall mountain. If you're not aware, it's 19,340 feet. That's way the freak up there. And you were featured in CQ magazine in June. So this will be an interesting presentation. He's got some slides and everything that we'll be doing, and so because we want to get to that and stop listening to me ramble on about things, unless there's anything that we need to bring up. Oh, that's right. Jerry wanted some time.
Just very quickly, if anybody ordered a name tag and has not picked it up yet, I got about $130 worth of name tags here. I don't get that, order a name tag and never come back. Some of them I've had for 18 months. Also, if anyone wants to pay membership dues, I'm the man, so see me. For visitors are always welcome. You don't have to join the club. Nobody's going to pressure you to join. Come as often as you want, and then decide. And lastly, there's been a change. Val made a really good change to the website. Where's Val? There you go. Made a really good change to the website. Sometimes people have wondered, well, am I paid up for this year or am I not? Well, in the past, if you checked on the members list, it only showed those who were paid up. Now it displays everybody's name and call sign and gives the status. Expired, paid through 2019, or some of them are paid through 2020 and beyond. So you can always find out your membership status by going to the website. That's all.
Great.
I have a friend I brought today. This is John, my neighbor. Looking for a hobby. So we got the perfect hobby. Hope to entice him to get interested.
Well, I think it's very interesting, so that should help. Okay, so if there's nothing else, then we'll turn the time over to John Murphy.
Well, good morning. Today, I'll tell you a little bit about something that I did earlier this year. You'll learn a little bit of Swahili over here. Jumbo means hello. You hear that a lot on the mountain. Orders and visitors to the mountain say Jumbo every time we pass each other. Give you a little background. KG7LBY is my call sign. I got a technician license in 2014, got a general license, got a 2-meter radio, and started messing around doing events up there in Logan. Got a general license in 2016, and kind of sat on it. Didn't really do much with it. One of my other hobbies, in addition to ham radio, is climbing mountains. Quite a few in my life. Early in 2017, I got the notion to go climb Kilimanjaro. So this is going to be the story. I went with Wendy Finlayson, who is my girlfriend, and Brandy Palmer, who is my daughter. Two wonderful ladies, two most important women in my life nowadays. There's the mountain. In case you're not familiar, Kilimanjaro is about 3 degrees south of the equator in the country of Tanzania. It is just a few quick facts about the mountain. It is the 4th highest of the 7 summits. If you're familiar with the 7 summits, it's the highest point on each of the 7 continents. So it's up there. And as David mentioned, Uhuru Peak, which is the high point along the crater rim, is 19,341 feet above sea level, making it the tallest freestanding mountain. Now, I have to take a little issue with that, with calling it freestanding. It is a big bump off of the African plain, but there are other volcanoes nearby. It is a dormant volcano. It's quite old. The last major eruption was a long time ago, but there were some more minor ones recently. One of the things about Kilimanjaro, one of the things that impelled me to want to go in the first place, was the fact that the glaciers are disappearing. You've probably all heard Hemingway's The Snows of Kilimanjaro and that kind of stuff. Well, it still snows up there. But the glaciers are shrinking, and if you're interested, if you'll bear with me a second, I wanted to show just a little, sorry. Is there a Wi-Fi?
Flashlight?
Yeah.
No Wi-Fi.
Okay, don't worry about it. Let's get There's an interesting video that someone put together that showed the recession of the glaciers from 1912 to the current day. Global warming is all the rage these days, however, the climatologists are saying that that's not necessarily the case with Kilimanjaro. It is perhaps just part of the normal ebb and flow of weather on the mountain. So this one, I think, I hope you find this interesting. So these are the 7 summits: Everest, of course, Aconcagua, Mount Kilimanjaro, etc., etc. What I've done here is I took a picture off the web of Mount Ben Lomond. So this is Ben Lomond from about the base of the valley to the peak, and that's about the elevation of the valley here. So what I wanted to do was illustrate how tall the mountain is by imagining when you go home this morning, looking north towards Mount Ben Lomond, and in order to, if you can imagine a mountain there, there's 3 Ben Lomonds on top of each other. So look up that high and go, oh, that's 19,340 feet. I did the same thing with Wellsville's and Logan's. It's very similar. It's hard. The Kilimanjaro, it's hard to get a sense of scale. It sits out there all by itself, and it's just huge. but you're so far away from you, you can't, you don't, it doesn't look like that big of a mountain because you can't, you don't really have a sense for how far away you are from it. So, how does ham radio play into this? Well, as I mentioned, I was kind of looking around for something to do as a general licensee. I thought I went to the field day and got to talking to some of my fellow hams, and they mentioned something we call SOTA. Most of you are probably familiar with Summits on the Air. And that kind of got the gears turning in my head. And I thought, well, I should get some HF radio equipment and take it with me. Although I had no experience whatsoever beyond my little 2-meter, 70-centimeter radio. But I work best when I have a plan and I have a goal, and I thought, well, that'll give me a goal. So I put 2 and 2 together and took the radio to Kilimanjaro. So what you see there is the sum total of all the HF radio equipment that I owned at the time I made this decision. In 2017, I began to try to accumulate both equipment and experience. It was quite a challenge. I'm still a working man. I'm pretty busy. But I lit into it. I bought this little MFJ 1621 from a ham radio operator here. I think he's no longer in town, here in Ogden. And the FT817ND. I spent a fair amount of time trying to decide between the Elecraft KX2 or KX3. Eventually settled on this. I think I would have actually preferred the Elecraft. Let me go back for a second. So when I first started working with this, working at SSB, I don't really have a very good place at my house to operate from. I rent a home. I don't have a backyard. It's surrounded by trees. It's down on the valley floor. I had a lot of difficulty getting around. I was able to get on the Beehive net and a few others. But it fairly soon became apparent to me that SSB, trying to run SSB wasn't really going to do it. It takes more energy, as you know. One of the compromises that you have to do when you're trying to climb a mountain like this is compromises between weight, power, battery power, and such. So I took a look at FTA. We probably have some FTA people here, right? I see some heads nodding, quite a few. It's incredible. Yes, sir.
Larry up here just got worked off stage on FD8.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Congratulations. I'd like to talk. So that's when I said, okay, I guess I'm going to have to do that. So I went ahead and got the signaling and a lightweight, long battery life tablet. So this is other than cables and batteries, this is what I took to Kilimanjaro. No, I'm sorry. I jumped ahead of myself. So I began to operate in this mode, and although the F1621 is very lightweight, I wasn't really quite sure it was going to be up to the task. So I began asking around about. I began investigating other antennas. Okay, now I was an electronics technician in my early life. I no longer do that. But I'm not completely ignorant about electronics and such. But antennas. It was hard for me to work through that. And I wrote to Roger Stenbach at Precise RF, who I had seen. He sells maglev antennas. And I said, what have you got? It might be good for me. So I'm going to take it up to Kilimanjaro. And he said, here's one you can use. And I'll give it to you. If you'll bring back some pictures of you using it on top of the mountain. So, regardless of all the technical issues, that kind of made my decision for me. Continuing on, as I mentioned, doing this requires a lot of compromises. There's a whole lot of factors. And at this particular time, the bands, now keep in mind, I'm a new general. I don't really know all that much about propagation and stuff like that. I was trying desperately to learn the stuff as 2017 moved along. It seemed apparent to me that I would have to work with down in 40 or 20 meters or something. And these little magnetic loops work pretty well at that bandwidth, that frequency. Plus, I don't have to worry about erecting a dipole. The top of the mountain is windy. It is cold. You want to get up there and get your stuff set up as fast as you possibly can and get out. The guides are impatient. They want to go home. They don't want to stay up there any longer than they have to. The altitude is very high. It's not good for you. So I fretted over this for a long while, and Roger says, well, you can set this thing up in 4 minutes. Oh, really? That sounds pretty good. So I received it, began to experiment with it, and sure enough, 4 minutes. How do they work? Well, there's a whole lot of information on the web. Some of it, I get the impression, is fairly controversial. These have a little more information about them. They're physically robust. As you can see, because of the nature of what they're doing, you've got to have some pretty heavy-duty cable. And I guess I already mentioned that. Mag loops, from what I understand, this is off the web. You should all know this, I hope. This thing works on the magnetic portion of the radio wave. Does that mean anything to you? It doesn't to me. But it works, and it basically transduces, which if you're working on one of these in a place with a lot of EMI, they might actually work better because they are not so sensitive to electrical noise. It's prevalent in our society. Not much of a problem on top of Kilimanjaro because there basically isn't electricity. The other thing is they have a small bandwidth. It's a very high Q device. You tune it by doing this little guy right here, and down at about 7 meters where I was planning to operate, there's just a very small range where you've got the. Sorry.
Resonant.
Thank you. However, which is a problem if you're trying to go along on doing SSP and trying to find things. So you're constantly having to retune the thing. Some people make little motors that go to this, but this is another reason where FT8 came in handy, because I'm running at 7074 megasecond. Right? I don't have to fuss it. Just get it tuned up good. I'm paying attention to the radio. My feeling is I want to get off the summit as fast as I possibly can, so I don't want to spend any time fiddling with the radio. The other thing about FT8, of course, is its tremendous ability to suck signals out of the noise. So that made the decision there. Another thing too that was important was staying close to the ground. It didn't seem practical to erect a vertical antenna of any sort on the summit because it could be getting some 40, 50 mile an hour winds. There's no trees, of course, to throw wires up into trees. So this was my solution. Okay, back to the mountain. To go to Kilimanjaro, you have to use a guide service. Kilimanjaro and the Serengeti and Ngorongoro craters are major sources of income for a poor country like Tanzania. So you have to use a guide service. That will cost you anywhere from $1,500 to $4,000, depending on whether you go with budget operators or the luxury ones. There's hundreds of them. This is one of the most stressful things we had to go through, was trying to figure out who to go with. A lot of information about mistreatment of porters, not paid very well. Most of them are just happy to have a job, but some people feel that they're very abused, and try and get you to avoid companies that don't take care of the porters, and it's really hard to figure out who's doing that and who's not. Ultimately, we chose a company called Trekking Hero. Trekking Hero, the owner of Trekking Hero actually lives in Salt Lake City part of the year. So we thought, well, we'll go talk to him, meet him personally, and we got a pretty good feeling about it, but our experience on the mountain, unfortunately, was actually not very good. So we decided to go to Kilimanjaro. We did talk to him afterward. He promised to fix some of the problems that we described to him, but I don't know. Okay, there are 7 standard routes that take most of the traffic up the mountain. They go up all sides of the mountain. It is not a wilderness experience, not by any means. 35 to 50,000 people a year climb that mountain. I don't know whether they're counting porters in that, because they go up all the time. The success rates, several factors. Some routes give you a little bit longer time to acclimate. Some go right straight up the mountain. If you're already a hardy mountaineer, you can do those. They'll go up in about 4 days back. We chose, since Wendy is my age, she's both sexagenarians. My daughter she's 30, so we chose a route called the Wrong Guy. That's fun. We got the wrong guy. This is the northern. Actually, this is actually the northern side of the mountain. Over on this side is the town of Moshi, where most of the trips take off. So you drive around to this side to this gate, and it takes, as you see, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days of, and this little side trip over here to Mowenzi is kind of another opportunity to acclimate. We took Diamox. None of the 3 of us had trouble with altitude sickness. Diamox is a drug that has mild side effects and really helps you breathe at high altitude. Okay, back to radios. That's what I call the African shakedown. Africa is a very poor continent. Of course, most of the countries there are very poor. Well, they're pretty old-fashioned. Okay, you have to get a Tanzanian license. It takes months to do this. It's your classic third world bureaucracy. Just hang on for the ride. The only really effective way to do it, I understand, is to find a local contact that helps you through the process. So there is a Tanzanian amateur radio club. I looked up online and tried to figure out, I don't know when the data was taken, but according to the chart, Tanzania, the whole country of Tanzania has about 230 some odd ham radio operators. Not your major ham radio place. Kidan, he's a great guy. does volunteer work for the Tanzanian Red Cross, Tanzanian Boy Scouts, and he's been a ham radio operator. He's the secretary of the radio club. He helped me get through it. But you will get as I mentioned there, you will get a constant stream of requests. And my impression is that's just the way it is. It was difficult for me to try and determine what was reasonable and what was not. I was really totally dependent upon the man. I don't know. In any case, he got it done. I got my license just days before leaving. So that worked out really well. I've been told also that since African countries are often antagonistic towards each other, often at war in fact, they're kind of suspicious of anyone coming into radio, anyone touching the radios. So the application had all sorts of information on it that I had to give them. But ultimately, it was beyond everything. So off we go. Back to the mountain. So this is our first view of the mountain from the city of Moshi. This is the south side of the mountain, where there are more glaciers to this side. But as you can see, it's kind of dry right now. There's no fresh snow on the mountain. This is the hotel there. Very nice place. The guide service, when you contract with the guide service, they pay all these fees here as part of it. You don't have to do that. That's part of your thing. But it's quite expensive. $70 a day, $120 a day just to be on the mountain, and a one-time rescue fee. This is Wendy, my girlfriend, showing it. This is at the visitor center. This is similar to the picture I showed a few minutes ago. This is the wrong guy route. Comes up this way, crosses this saddle between Malenzi and Kibo. Seen some last day on TV. If you see questions, by the way, just go ahead and shout them out. More Swahili. Poli poli. Poli poli means slowly, slowly. When you're going up to altitude, you need to move slow. You can't be running up the mountain unless you're an absolute incredible athlete. So the guides are always telling everyone, poli, poli, poli.
We're just taking your quote.
So, the base of the mountain starts out in essentially it's kind of a rainforest type thing. It's not a really deep rainforest. It's pretty simple. The Rongai route is a bit drier than the south side routes. We didn't see a whole lot of wildlife there. The colobus monkeys lived up in the trees that you just saw there. They say that elephants and such sometimes wander up to that side of the mountain. We didn't see any. So as far as one real wildlife we saw than condors was colobus monkeys and geckos. It's one of our guides, Peter, it's Lindy and I. After you pass through that zone, you get up into what they call the moorland zone, the second vegetation zone. These high plants, not much to see actually. That day was kind of boring. Good spirits, weather was really good. The area around the mountain is a very rich agricultural area, a lot of good volcanic soil and a lot of water coming down off the mountain. First camp, Assembly Camp. All the camps on the mountain are maintained by the Park Service. This one, as you can see, is 2,671 meters. I don't know what that is off the top of my head.
Simba means lion in Swahili.
Absolutely.
You didn't see any of those, did you?
No, I did not see any lions. Thank goodness. Saw a dead yak or a water buffalo. My daughter Brandy and our chief guide Julius. Julius, unfortunately, one of the problems we had with the trekking area was that Julius was actually kind of distant. Okay, so here we're approaching it from the north side. It snowed the last night. You can just barely see a little glacier moving up over there. Typical trail, rocky, eroded. Climbing is, at this point, is not particularly difficult. So it's just a steady climb the first several days. That's me. I'm actually trying to fill my lungs with oxygen. Right there. Toilet facilities. Maybe you've been to the Far East, probably. It's the cleanest one I saw. Okay, so I mentioned that there's an older volcano to the east of Kibo, which is the main volcano, called Moenzi. Moenzi is a good deal more eroded, and part of our acclimatization was to head over towards Moenzi, spend like an extra day going back and forth. I was actually far more impressed with Moenzi than I was with Kibo. Kibo is impressive in its size, but it's just kind of a big pile of dirt. Moenzi was much more visually interesting. So this was about the last of the nice weather. This is second cave. The next stop was Kikilauwa Camp. And this was actually my first opportunity to get the equipment. The first night we got there kind of late. The second night we were still fussing around with stuff. So I set it. This is the tent I provided. I set up my little magnet here. Actually, it's kind of a valley. But at this elevation, 12,000 feet above sea level, I was pretty astounded at all the contacts that I was coming in. Of course, they're all coming in from Europe and Southwest Asia. Not much from Africa. Africa's kind of a radio dark continent, really. At least this area. As you can see, the weather's starting to deteriorate. It's already quite cold. I spent a fair amount of time, and I learned something here that when you're trying to do this kind of thing, it's best not to have other people around. I spent more time answering questions. Maybe some of you have experienced that as well. What's that? Okay. I'm really trying to get some contacts here. So I think I got one contact at this point. I had some trouble with the laptop, so I'm not really very excited yet. So this is Moenzi Peak at sunrise. The Moenzi Tarn Hut. So here we're at 4,315 meters. I think that's about 14,000 feet somewhere. This is looking out across the African plain. Weather's starting to move in on us. I mentioned that Kilimanjaro is not a wilderness experience. There are hundreds of guide services, and we were told that the Rongai route was actually one of the least used. But as you can see, it looks like a refugee camp. Quite noisy. The guide services do a pretty good job of taking care of it. It's not glamping, but each day the porters would pack up our stuff, and we would take off early. They'd pass us during the day, get the camp set up for the next day, have some popcorn and hot water ready for us. The food was good. It was really good. So I showed earlier there's a large saddle between Kibo and Moenzi. This is the saddle. As you can see, there's just a constant train of porters. Most of them are carrying them on their heads. Generally speaking, young men and women doing the best they can to make a living in a very poor country. Some of them are climbing and fairly minimal equipment. Kibo Hut. So here we go. Now we're at 15,000 feet or more. Storms moving down. Kibo Hut is the jumping off place for the actual summit day. Typically what you do is you get up about midnight or 1, put your headlamp on and your cold weather clothing and start. The last 4,000 feet up the mountain is steep. Gasping for air. Is the most difficult day. We got up to a snowstorm. Not a really bad one, but it was coming down. The snow was building up. We started up. Excuse me. Wendy and I got about halfway to the summit crater from Kibo, about halfway up that last bump on the mountain, and we had chosen a date that would allow us a full moon hike in the hours of the morning. There was no moon. It was gone. Wendy was having some difficulty. It was clear to me that even if I made it to the summit, that I would not be able to use this because it was only going to get worse as we got farther out. And so I turned back about half a mile. My daughter went on up to the crater rim called Gilman's. The actual peak is about is several kilometers farther along the crater rim, but not a whole lot higher, not quite 1,000 feet higher. So she did the best of all of us. The guide suggested at this point that they not continue on anyway, so I think the intuition about not being able to use the equipment was pretty good. She's on her way back down there. She told me later on that they were actually going through snowdrifts up to her thighs, but I don't know where that was. It was a tough day. A lot of people turning back. Oops. Okay, back to radios. Those who came before. This gentleman here, I'll get to in a minute. He did a little bit of research on the internet, and this was all he was able to find as far as people who had attempted Kilimanjaro prior to he and I and everybody else. So this 1947-48 expedition actually was to the Mountains of the Moon in Uganda, I believe. But they decided to try Kilimanjaro. Bob Leo, he got to the same point where my daughter did, and he was unable to continue, so no success there. There's a journal online of their expedition, which I thought was pretty interesting. The other one that Hans found was the Russian Robinson Club. I had a little trouble trying to figure out. They seemed to me like they were more concerned about Arctic ham radio stuff, but apparently they also tried Kilimanjaro. And they didn't hear anybody. No answer to the CQ. Apparently, I don't know whether they were trying SSB or CW or what. They used the same radio I did under better propagation conditions back in 2003. But as you can see, the cold, you just can't stay up there very long. This gentleman had the most success. I spoke with him before the trip, asked for advice, described what I was trying to do. He said, you're probably not going to be able to do it. He was helpful, but kind of disappointing. Nevertheless, weight is a consideration. Bigger radio, more batteries. You got to balance all that kind of stuff. But he made it. He appears to have been blessed with good weather. He had some kind of what he called he died out a vertical using sacks of rocks I don't know how long that took him. But he was operating on 15 meters and did very well. So the April 2005 QST was showed that. So after Brandy's descent, Wendy and I turned back to Kivo, waited for her to come back, and so it takes about 2 days to get out. We just hightail it out. That's basically all I have. This is Swahili for thank you very much. Appreciate your attention. Any questions you have, I'll be happy to answer. Yes, sir.
Did you have to sleep with your batteries, or what batteries did you use?
Well, so the FT817, if you're familiar with it, you can operate it on 8 AA's. I looked in before I left. I looked into getting some lithium poly batteries. It didn't work out. I basically just carried a whole bunch of AA's. I don't know. Did you read the article here in CQ? Incidentally, when I got back, I contacted Roger at Precise RF and said, "Well, Roger, I didn't hold up my end of the bargain. What do I do?" He says, "Well, just keep the antenna and write up a little story." And I assumed that he was just going to use it for ad copy or something. And then he wound up submitting it to CQ. Well, there it is. He also sent it to QST, but he said CQ's. So, had I known that, I might have written it fairly differently. I thought it was just one of the story. But, yeah, usually, if you're carrying electronic equipment up there and you want to use it at the summit, you pretty much have to keep the batteries close to your body heat. Otherwise, by the time you get there, it takes all morning. You get up at midnight or so to go up. The idea behind that is two things. Number one, it gets you to the summit near sunrise, which is apparently spectacular. I don't know. I didn't have that opportunity. And also, it gets you off the mountain before the afternoon sun. Which is something you need to do if you're doing soda anyway, particularly like in Colorado. You go to 14,000 foot peak in Colorado, the idea is to get off the peak. Any other questions? Yes.
Your run guide route, you mentioned that you hiked it for 5 days.
Yes, sir.
How many miles, kilometers was that?
Oh, I think it's, so it's 5 days up and then 2 days to get on out. I think all total is probably about 50 miles maybe.
Okay.
You don't really hike very, you only hike a few miles a day. It's not the mileage that hurts you, it's the gaining elevation. At 19,000 feet, you've got about 50% of the amount of oxygen.
19,000 feet what?
You have about 50%, I believe, of the amount of oxygen that you have at sea level. The diamox really help. I didn't, you're short of breath. But if you altitude sickness, are you anybody familiar with altitude sickness? HAPE and HACE, high altitude pulmonary edema and high altitude cerebral edema, they're deadly. One of the things the guides have to do is watch very, very carefully their clients to make sure they're not showing any signs of HACE. Do you have another question?
How many contacts did you get?
Well, okay. Here's the bad thing. Here's when I'm going to start tying things together. The first thing that Hidon asked was if I would leave my computer and my antenna there with him. And I said, well, no, the antenna is a gift. I'm not going to do that. But the little tablet I had was only about $300, so I said yes. When I made the contacts, I didn't write them down. I put them in the FT8 log. Those of you using WSJT that checks. I thought, well, okay, when I get back to the civilization, I'll download it. And, well, I kind of screwed up. and I thought that I had downloaded them to the cloud. And since I was going to give the computer to get on, I cleaned it. Well, I cleaned it. So, in actual fact, I actually only made one FTA contact from killing the whole camp at 15,000. Another thing that concerned me at the time, and I've since learned better, is those of you familiar with it, you can put in your Maidenhead locator, so that goes out with your CQ, the FTA. So I watched my first transmission go out and realized they were sending out DN41. Now I'm new to all this. I don't. Well, is this a serious gaffe? Should I do something about it? And so actually, I tried sending out. You can with FTA, you can send out up to like 13 characters, just free text. So I tried sending out just broadcasting a request to anybody. But I had to abbreviate it. What's the Maidenhead for Kilimanjaro? and no one ever answered. So I'm probably not. The equipment I've got and the experience I've got, from home I can see content. I can see people from the East Coast, from occasionally, rarely from Alaska, often from Cuba, with this equipment. Hardly anybody hears me any farther away than the Midwest. I live I live in a called residential. I got no backyard. I can't put it on the roof. I'm actually transmitting from my kitchen table, just like this. I'm surprised I can do as well as I can with that. So as far as QRP operations and summits on the air is kind of a bust. Incidentally, also Kilimanjaro is not a designated solo summit. Yeah, apparently you have to have a local sponsor or something who maintains the registration, and no one does it in Kilimanjaro.
How about garbage? Do we take it all out?
We did.
Take in? There's no junk pile at the top?
Nope, it's not like Everest. It all gets packed down.
You indicated that you had a lot of hoops to jump through to get your African radio license. Did they give you a specific call sign, or did you just invent your own?
No, I don't even remember what it is. I think it was 5H. 5H is their prefix. I think they gave me like 5H7LBY. So the same three LBY, KG7LBY.
Right on.
Yeah, and I guess I could renew it for like $10 a year from here on out.
For all the effort you went through to get it, it might be worth it.
Yeah, I've considered whether I want to try it again or not. I don't know. Actually, to be honest with you, I was a bit disappointed with the mountaineering experience. You saw the line of porters going across the saddle there, and the tent cities at the campsites. I'm used to mountain climbing here in the States and wilderness areas and things like that. It's just not the same thing. It was my first trip to Africa. That was interesting. I'm glad I did it. Glad I tried it. The point of the expedition really, I hope I made it clear, was not really to take the radio there. The point was to just go there, and then later on I added on the radio aspect of it. Anything else?
You can pull back.
It's very expensive. A couple $1,000s for the airfare, several $1,000s for the guide service. I spent several $1,000s on the foot, really, even though I got the antenna for free. So yeah, now probably. Yes, sir.
Just curious on that antenna. I imagine that antenna would be capable of receiving AM broadcasting.
No, I don't think so. No, I don't know.
Is
No.
that tuned for, okay.
This one tunes between 7 megahertz and 30, I think.
Okay. So what is the approximate cost of that antenna?
That's about a $200 some odd antenna. A lot of people make them. I think Alex Loop. I just happened to stumble into Precise RF. I've seen Alex Loop makes them. I think MFJ makes one, and there are numerous web pages where people describe how to make them yourself. You can make it out of two pieces of copper tubing. The most critical component is the capacitor in here, the air gap capacitor in here. I don't know all the details, but apparently it generates some extremely high voltages in there, so you gotta be careful with what you put inside. If you want to look at it, welcome. You can even try it if you'd like. It worked.
Were you able to test that antenna out here locally before you went?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
on a peak or something here?
Pardon me?
On a peak here, like?
Well, I tried taking it to Ferrari Peak just before we left. It was like my last opportunity to get up somewhere. Ferrari Peak is the Antelope Island, highest point on Antelope Island. No, I was not able. At that time, I think I was trying to do SSP at that time. Any other questions? Happy to answer.
Well, your next Sunday. After that trip, it's probably Francis Peak.
It's interesting how tall Kilimanjaro is compared to what we're used to here. We've got a lot of great mountains here in the Intermountain West. We've got the Uintas, we've got the Rockies, we've got all kinds of stuff up through here, but nothing quite like that. It's looking at Ben Lomond Peak and just imagining two more stacked on top of that.
I'm actually, I don't know, I'm surprised that Mr. Bluntner was only able to locate 2 other, so it amounts to 4 people that we know of that have tried it. Certainly others have tried. I guess they just couldn't get publicity about it.
I talked to a fellow day before yesterday, was on Deer Peak, which I don't know how high that is in Colorado, above Estes Park. He was doing summits on the air. Caught him, so they're fairly popular here in the States. Nothing that high.
Yeah.
So what is the highest point in North America?
McKinley or Denali, if you prefer, it's just a little over 20,000 feet. The highest point in the lower 48 is Whitney at 14,500.
California?
That's in California. There's about a dozen or so 14,000. So the mountain climbers like to call them 14ers. There's about a dozen in California. There's Mount Rainier in Washington. There's some 40 or 50 or so in Colorado. One of those 3 states.
King's Peak here in Utah is just over 12.
About 13.5, I think.
I don't know about using the radio on Rainier. When I was up there, it was a place we went motorcycling on. They've got some great roads up through there. So, well, thank you for coming. Thank you for giving us that presentation. It was very interesting. I haven't ever been to Africa, but the pictures from down below the mountain there look fabulous. It looks like a great
Well,
place.
it's an enormous continent.
Well, yes,
You can't gauge.
Can't judge it all by one spot. But, it did look really nice there, so I hope the experience was well worth it for you.
I think so. I wish I'd had another year to prepare for this, but it's worth a shot. I knew going into it that the odds were extremely way against me.
I like to say that there's a little bit of something for everybody in amateur radio, and you can find these activities that you can do. You can combine stuff that you normally do anyway with with amateur radio. And, I mean, sure, you have to take some batteries or something, you know, you have to prepare a little bit differently, but it's a really interesting way to add amateur radio into stuff that you normally do anyway. So, is there anything else that needs to be brought up here at the club? And if not, I guess we're done. We're out of time. We'll see you. Well, there will be a board meeting. I'm going to send out the invite to the board members here today, I think, or tomorrow. It'll be the first. Where's Val? Val, what did you said it was the first Wednesday of November?
We like Wednesdays because of the free pie.
Free pie over at Village Inn. So we're planning on doing it there. If you'd like to come, you don't have to be just a board member. We like to encourage the members of the club to come out and talk with us if you want at the board meetings. But that's where we'll be meeting, is over here in Roy at the Village Inn. Wednesday, it'll be the first Wednesday of November 7th. November 7th. At, what is it, we normally meet about 6, so about 6 o'clock. And feel free to come by if you like. If nothing else, like we said, it's free pie. So thank you for coming, and we'll see you next month at the next meeting.